So I've just dulled off the sides of the guitar all the way around after I did 5 coats of clear, and I just dulled it with 220, and now I'm going to attempt on a masking tape. This masking tape that they use at cars for cars, it's they said it has wax on it so it doesn't seep underneath. You could buy different thicknesses automotive tape, and I will make like decal kind of stuff to put on the side. So each letter that I do, or each diamond shaped, is cut out with an X-Acto knife onto the paper, the tape, and it's all done by hand. And then I'll do one at a time and put it on the side of the guitar. That's my name will go across the side, and then it will be painted in silver. So I got all my squares masked off. It looks pretty cool just the way it is, but I'm going to spray it where all the black is showing on the sides will now become silver. So I got it all masked up now. Just to spray the sides, I taped it up so I don't get any overspray. And we'll proceed from here. So you can see from my original idea, I changed it up a little bit. I didn't like the way the letters came out after I sprayed it, so I sanded it down. And I just put my name on it. You get one of these pens, they're paint pens. And they're pretty cool. You get them all different colors. So anyway, so I changed it up, and it looks kind of cool with the silver. Kind of looks gold sometimes, but it's actually silver. My next step is to put a brace underneath here in this area, because I got a Bigsby going, so I'm going to put a little brace here. I just cut a piece of wood, and I'll just slide it in here, and I'll glue it in. So I slid the brace in. I just put a type on, and I slid it in, and it's pretty snug underneath there, so it should add some pretty good support. So I cut these 2 little blocks, and they're going to go in here on the side here. I'm going to glue them in both sides. So the pickup will have a place to sit on. This one won't need one because I'm using a P90 pickup, and it already has flaps on it, and it'll fit perfect. And even if I'm a little low, I can raise it up. So I have to put braces on these down here. So I'm starting to wet sand my guitar. I let it sit for 2 days or so. Starting with 800 grit, wet dry. I got a little bucket here full of soapy water. I don't know if you could tell. It's hard to see on a camera, but there's like a lot of shiny spots, and I'm trying to get the shiny spots out. So I try and dull it as best I can. It's hard to tell from the, oh, there you can see it right there. So I want to try and get that level. All those shiny spots leveled so it's dull. So I started with 800, and I'm up to 800, then I did 1,000, now I got 1,500, and I'm going to go to 2,000 grit. That'll be the final one for this. You can see I have the paper soaking in the water a little bit, and I'll just dab it with water when it gets a little dry. And you can see it's pretty shiny with the water on it, and it looks pretty good. Once I get it all down to 2,000, I'll be able to buff it out. And I just use, car polish is good. So you can see with just 2000 grit, you can see the shine, and I haven't even buffed it out yet. And I did this all by hand, buffing it by hand, sanding it by hand. So it took me about an hour just to do this front. You can see it, the glow. So this is how it looks before I'm waxing it. This is just up to 2000 grit. You can see it's starting to dry because I just wiped down the excess of the sanding on it. But you can see just alone how it gets really glossy. Then once I buff it out tomorrow, it'll look really good. But it's up to 2000 grit. You get a lot of that lacquer dust on there after you sand it down. So you got to keep wiping it down with some nice, with a warm cloth, or cool cloth will work too, I guess. But I use warm. But you can see how it's drying up right there. I'm about to polish the guitar now. I got my car polisher and car wax polish. So I will be putting it on and using the automatic vibrating polisher to do the top and the back and the sides.
Back on the roof. But he's back on the roof though.
So you can see the glare off of this, how bright and shiny it is. There you go. So the little spots that I couldn't get to with the buffer, I used my just a little soft cotton rag. And you can see I took it up to 2000 grit only. Somebody told me to go to 3000, but I just used 2000. It's all I had on hand at the time. So you can see how nice and bright and shiny that came out. It's unbelievable. It's like glass. So now I hooked up my pickups. I just soldered them. And all the wires that I pre-wired before I put the guitar together, it seems to be doing real well. There's no loose wires, no humming. So I guess I did everything correct. So now I got to put the rest of it together. So I pretty much finished building the guitar. There's a few things I got to do. Few things that aren't the greatest, but it works pretty good actually. The Bigsby I bought, I thought I'd buy something different, but evidently it was the wrong one because I needed this piece to keep the strings low. Had a real old bridge laying around, so I hooked that up. It's upside down, but it doesn't matter. It just works fine. And made a bezel for this Brian Setzer TV Jones pickup to match this one. I made it out of wood actually and painted it. I'm going to put a pick guard on it now. Basically made the shape out of paper, and I'm going to cut it into some plastic that I have. So I'm cutting the pick guard right now. Just put on your goggles when you do this. Basically, it's just a piece of plexiglass you can buy over at Lowe's or Home Depot or any of those places. So sometimes you got to do some improvising on your guitar. Because with me, I never know what the hell I'm going to do sometimes to the end. But I had, like I said, I used this other part of a Bigsby that I cut out. I cut the Bigsby here, and I used this part from the other Bigsby so it holds the strings low enough so I'll have my action low. And I just painted the gold Bigsby black to match. And then on my pick guard, basically what I did was, as you can see, I put some tape on here, put my initial on here, but I spray painted the back black, and I'm going to pull the tape off and it'll be clear. So I now attach the pick guard to the guitar. And I will play it for you in a little bit. So it's completely done now.